get going, wanted to do a deep dive into today's lunar eclipse, which is slated to happen at 5:38 p.m. New York time. This chart is cast for New York. It will not be visible in the United States, but it will be here in Europe. I'll try and take some pictures because I have the moon literally right in front of my house. So perfect. But let's take a look. Let's start with the astrology and take a look at the energies here. Now, this lunar eclipse or eclipses in general have about a month span, longer, but like the initial kickoff will happen usually within a month of the date of the eclipse. So you may have seen this starting somewhere around June 16th, or it may happen anytime between now and August 16th. So let's take a look, first of all, at the players, the key players here, and sort of break down their energy. Now, as you can see here, it looks like a standoff, right? You see all that red energy, that tension there. And then you kind of have these bystanders over here. Neptune makes a wide sextile to both Saturn and Pluto, which actually softens them up a little bit. So, this is, we know it's been harsh energy. This softens it a little bit, that gives you sort of an out. Anyway, that said, then we have Chiron over here watching. We have Uranus over here watching. And then these are kind of out of orb. This Mars in Leo is out of orb. They're bystanders, sort of like flanking the conversation. Now, right here in a perfect T-square to the sun, moon, is Aries. Now, for those of you who are not familiar with Aries, she's the goddess of discord. She was the daughter of Zeus and Hera. And the story goes that she was not invited to the wedding of Peleus and Thetis because, she's like a shitty guest. So everyone knew she was going to come and cause trouble. So she wasn't invited. So she got pissed and she makes her golden apple of discord. She rolls it into the party and it says on the apple, "To the fairest one." Now, she didn't really start. She's one of those things that like baits you, right? Because she didn't start it. If the apple rolls into the party and people look at it and say, "Weird apple," then nothing happens. But what happened is she relied on everyone else's ego, knowing how they would behave, knowing that their egos were going to fall for her trick. And she writes, "To the fairest one." So then Hera, Athena, and Aphrodite start fighting over, "No, I'm the prettiest. No, I'm the prettiest. No, I'm the prettiest." So this is also like discord, very directed towards the female, from the female to the female. So Zeus appoints Paris to pick who's the prettiest one, and he picks Aphrodite. And after that, basically the Trojan War ensues. So from these small incidents, baited, like starting shit, right? Like she throws the ball in and is like, "Okay, what are you guys gonna do?" Something stupid can turn into something massive. And this is why also the cards have been saying to us in the last few weeks or last few readings is don't take the bait, because this Aries, whoever this woman is, and it may be an Aries, whatever it is, she will be aggressive. Mine is definitely my downstairs neighbor. But you will all have somewhere in your life, and these planets can come to us as transits, actually through people. So you may have a Scorpio causing you problems. You may have a Saturn, Capricorn, causing you problems. So it will either be another Aries female or just someone who wants to fight that miserable, unhappy, jealous, excluded, the person no one wants to be friends with. That's the person that can screw you, right? And they'll bait you. They bait your ego into fighting, and things just get out of control. And that's also, since this moon here is conjunct Pluto, that's the goddess Kali energy. So moon Pluto can be like, I love you to death, to the depths of my soul, emotions that go so deep you can't even describe them. It can also be, I love you to death in the way that, like, I'll kill you if you go with someone else. So this can be a very intense and also a very frightening combination if we want to. It tends to be a very manipulative energy where someone tries to exert power over you. But basically, with this going on right here, it's really more about us looking at our lunar keywords. So women, emotions, habits, the home, our roots, our family tree, nurturing, are going to need to be transformed in a way that's concrete, right? We're going to have to change our emotional foundations or our family tree foundations. Something about this is being asked to be changed, and it will come from the past because it's also conjunct the South Node here. And with this Venus also on top of the North Node. Now this is a little bit, it's there with Saturn. It's a little bit out of orb, I would say. It's wide, it's 8 degrees. But it will cast a small influence. But this, and so let me tell you about the Sabians here, actually. So for the moon here, the Sabian symbol is an Oriental rug dealer, which is actually quite interesting if you think about the protests that are going on in Hong Kong, as well as to, whose home is it? Why do powers that don't even live here get to say who we belong to? And causing protests, causing discord. And then this sun over here in Cancer, it's weird because usually the Sabians have like 2 versions. There's an abbreviated one, and then there's the original fully drawn out one. This degree, for some reason, has like 3 or 4 different iterations throughout the web, which is already unusual. So there's also something about like multiple interpretations of this degree. And the one that I pulled here is, it says, a willful man is overshadowed by a descent of superior power. Now in others, it talks about being cloaked in power. Sometimes it talks about that power being divine, and sometimes it talks about the power being man-made. But what we have here is really a showdown. You have the sun, which is the masculine energy, in the female sign, talking about a man being cloaked in power, whether it be divine or whether it be taken on by themselves, opposing the lunar, the female energy, in the authoritative sign, the sign of authority and foundation, and the stern father, talking about a rug dealer. Now, a rug dealer is someone who sells you something to cover up. It can also be a work of art. Now, in Italy, we have this saying, which is a venditore di tappeti, which means that usually it's someone who, like, once they start, they don't let you go. They're just going to annoy you until you've bought something, or that what they're selling, because there was a lot of Oriental rugs that were not authentic, so that it's also used to describe something that's false. So there's a showdown here of like, is this power real? Is it divine? Or have you taken it, right? Does that actually belong to you? Is what you're feeling real, or is it imagined? Are you covering up feelings that are actually going to be the things that give you power? Are you feeling things that need to be regenerated in order to bring back your self of power through self-nurturing? So these are all things that can be coming up right now. Now, with Jupiter here, particularly in New York, Jupiter here on the ascendant, this is actually quite a very nice omen, good luck omen for everything that's going on here. So whatever this transformation is, as I said, with Neptune sort of giving a helping hand here and Jupiter on the ascendant, so particularly for the East Coast, that's a good blessing. Even though it may feel uncomfortable, and it may not be uncomfortable, you know, these energies can go from something that are the most banal to the most serious. It can be, you know, a dietary change. It can be a change in home. Maybe you find a new home that you feel more empowered in. So there are things, you know, instead of going to straight like, oh my God, this is the sky is falling. Pay attention to where the discord is coming from and the choices that it's creating for you. And that will be, those are your clues that that's your eclipse energy. Now I want to take a look at these, we're going to take a look at the planets and how they translate into tarot cards. So stay with me. Hey guys, how you doing? I'm here to do the reading for the lunar eclipse of July 16th, 2019 for Aries. The lunar eclipse, July 16th, 2019 for Aries. Now today also marks the 50th anniversary of the landing on the moon landing of the Apollo 11, or for those of you who think it's false, the falsification of the moon landing, which is funny. So the lunar energy definitely popping up to say hello. I have a card for Aries, please, to describe the energy of this lunar eclipse, July 16th, 2019. That's a lot of cards. I'm going to take the top one. So discovery, which is interesting, and then there's that full moon up there. And it's like discovery, we've been talking about this also, of like that which nourishes you, and you see it's almost like they're on a different planet, and it's like trying to make something grow on this unfertile terrain, but that fills you with love and with the same, you know, in sort of a dark environment, where do you shine? So to discover what lies at your heart, what makes you grow, what makes you glow. So that's a very nice card. Let's move on to the next one. And that sort of looks like, I want to actually look this up because I can't remember. I don't want to mispronounce. I can't remember who this figure is, but it almost looks like a Native American figure. So can I have, please, a card for Aries to describe the energy for this new moon, lunar eclipse, full moon, July 16th, 2019. Lunar eclipse, July 16th, 2019 for Aries. What energy can Aries expect from this eclipse, July 16th, 2019. Okay. I think this came up in another reading. So mending an unfinished symphony. And the thing that's interesting is in many of my readings, these two tend to come up at the same time. And you see how they have this like this string, they both have this concept of like a string going on, that there's something that's working on, that's a work in progress. And this mending, the unfinished symphony, is a 10 and a 1. So it's like there's something that needs to be resolved in order to begin again. And it may have to do with mending ties from the past, or mending relationships with siblings, with sisters, or with passions, you know, because they're sitting here sewing things together. So let's get another card, and then we'll go to the tarot. May I have a card for Aries to describe the energy of this lunar eclipse, July 16th, 2019. Aries, July eclipse. July 16th eclipse, lunar eclipse, 2019. Mercury's got my words all over the place. Lovely. So 28, which is a 10, movement. And there's a little windmill here on the back that this ostrich is carrying forward. And look, there's this like hot air balloon, which is kind of like the same color as this one. So this ostrich is moving from a very unfertile terrain to a very fertile terrain, which recalls kind of this energy here. I bring up the windmills because I've been having a conversation about the Netherlands, and that's so anyway, you have something that's on your back that's actually piloting, because that's what they do, the movement from the wind. That's what creates energy. The movement forward creates the energy. And we saw this in the last reading too. The movement forward, as this ostrich moves forward, creates the turbine energy to help this green grow in even the most unusual of circumstances, right? And that's the same thing that's coming out here, is that even when things look barren, also here, this kind of like, it's not really a rich environment, no. Even when things look barren, they are actually flourishing. So for those of you who are feeling discouraged that maybe you haven't seen as much proof and you're starting to doubt that things are growing, these cards suggest that again, it's the movement forward. As long as you keep mending and working on it and adding that energy, that even in unlikely circumstances, as long as you keep moving forward, but it is connected, sorry, this was this way. It's connected to an ending and a new beginning. So it's like you have to move out of the old and into the new if you want it to grow. Now let's take a look at the cards, and then I want to read that, like I said. So can I have, not yet, what was it? 5 of Swords, putting things down, knowing when to walk away. Can I have 3 cards, please, to describe this lunar eclipse? July 2019, July 16th, 2019. Okay. All right, we got a whole bunch here. This was upside down, but I don't read. My deck knows I don't read it. So what do we have? Lots and lots of pentacles. So very nice omen for work. We have the 9 of Pentacles and the 9 of Wands, right? So it's also the kind of the same as we saw with the 8s, right? There's 2 versions of this energy that you can, of that 9 energy that you can have. You can feel enriched, or you can feel guarded. Now, it says, it's interesting here because she has the 9, it goes to the 8, right? So there's a loss of a pentacle, but here's the one pentacle that you lost. It's kind of like you may have traded in a smaller pentacle for a bigger one that somehow, and this is still head down, keep your head down and keep working on it, right? Which is what this says too. Like, don't get caught up. Careful about getting defensive. Careful about getting caught up in the drama. Because even if you lose your pentacle, like if you feel like in the battle you lost something, actually you only needed that really one big one to rise up to the throne, right? So there's, and it's the one, like all of these are about flourishing, right? So there's things that are flourishing here, things that are flourishing here. And even this, it's like, here she has 9 and here she has 1, but she's totally leveled up. So it wasn't necessarily the number of things that she had so much as the quality of it, right? So there's definitely a leveling up here. Now let me read this and I feel like this reading has so many of the themes that we've been talking about again and again for the last period. So I don't feel like there's anything necessarily new here. Let me see this discovery card. Okay, love it. So the message of this is I am more than I think I am, you know? So it's like maybe you think you need 8 pentacles to be happy, but really actually you just need that one thing to make you a queen. So the legend, life is easy for young Pink. He takes his gifts for granted until one day he loses Petunia. So there's the loss. The love of his life, forcing him on an inner journey. He works hard on himself, both of these cards, hoping for another chance that doesn't come. In desperation, he consults Sky God and learns that Petunia is incapable of receiving love. Pink recognizes that Petunia's role in his life has been to expand his capacity to love. So you may be walking away or losing at this moment some sort of karmic soulmate or karmic soul connection whose role in your life was simply to act as a guide to where, or as an overviewer, as something to help you move into that next space, but that now it's time to let them go, you know, to get back to let that that one pentacle go so that you can, because you need it, it's actually a bigger one, so you can rise up into your fully abundant royal self. Now let's finish reading this. Okay, so personal inquiry. Am I happy in this situation? How is it benefiting me? The healing of predetermined agreements must be addressed. Awareness is healing. The key ideas here are leaving the past behind, a readiness for a new adventure, a willingness to venture into uncharted territory, and a new level of self-care. So these are, they're all the same messages, you know. We may have to lose something in order to discover that which lies deep in our hearts that really makes us feel rich, that really makes us feel fulfilled. And it may come, we may not want to let go of it. It may cause us to feel defensive and unhappy. But it is what's piloting this movement into a new, richer terrain where things are growing, even though, and you know, it's like this ostrich doesn't see, there's got a whole rich land growing on its back, right? So even though you can't see it and you think you're being forced into a new situation and you don't like it, it's actually helping you to get, you know, to continue to grow internally, to have this richness instead of in front of you, like actually in you, you know? So it's not, you're not in it, you are it, you know? She's like standing, she's surrounded by the pentacles, but this is like, it grows from within her. So whatever is removed now may have been a karmic agreement to get you to move. That's what those relationships tend to be. But it will help you to a discovery of a richer, more 8. You know, here's that missing 8 that we didn't get in the last reading. A more abundant you. We had the other 3 8s, but this was the 4th one. So it's almost like it completes that other reading. Awesome. And then the 8, of course. Interesting. Okay, cool. So hope this helps. I'm wishing you all a very happy eclipse. Remember, the energies for the eclipses they're usually about a month. So if this may have started for you back in June 16th of 2019, it may not take effect until August, so keep an eye out for that. But everything looks really, really lovely. Great. Take care. Have a lovely day.